Rich had answered the question, Adam was asking, is Litmos a SAS solution? And apparently it is, because Rich had responded to that.
That's right.
So,
That's SaaS, so that's
mhm.
software as a service. Um, so the answer is yes, we are a software as a service product.
And it is really easy to sign up.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just as easy for larger companies if they want to have 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 10,000. It's pretty easy to all go under the same umbrella, right?
That's right. Our general organisation that we would sign up would be anywhere from 500, and under 500 as well. But we're looking at sort of 500 and above employees at the organisation. So it's just as easy for them to sign up, create an account, brand it up with their logos and colours, and start building courses. And we have a bulk upload available in there, so you can actually import up to 5,000 users at a time. So we accommodate for those kind of numbers coming into the system at once.
I'm going to chime into a comment you made earlier about the controversy around LMSs, and Rick B. Warren, I'm going to get on my soapbox here, but it's when you look at the design process. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here. We've got the instructional designer, we've got the e-learning author, and we've got the LMS, and it seems like when there is just a bad course that the blame of that gets put on the LMS, where really it was, and many times from the beginning, it was poor instructional design, and then poor graphic design, and then you just happen to put it onto an LMS, and because it was hosted on the LMS is the last point of contact. It gets all the blame for poor course design. So it's kind of like the whole PowerPoint discussion that we always have, Rick, where it's not the tool necessarily. A lot of times it's the user, and sometimes these instructional designers need to think about their LMS before, when they're starting with the instruction. And same thing with the authors of the Captivate authors or the Articulate authors or whatever authoring tool you're using. You have to keep your LMS in mind. Now, that's not to say that LMSs are not to blame for any of this hostility, because there's a lot of laborious LMSs out there too. But it just seems like it should. We all need to look at the learning process and not just point a finger at LMSs and say that's where the problem is, because in many cases it's not.
Well, one of the things that we always teach clients, and these are instructional designers or training managers, the LMS is your table of contents. People like to build these huge courses with tons of jumps to different lessons. In reality, build smaller courses with each lesson as a SCO or as a content object in the LMS. That's your table of contents. And set up your dependencies, make sure that if you have to, if it's a compliance course, you do lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can't really jump around unless they allow it. But ideally, you want to be able to use the LMS as a table of contents. That's
Mm-hmm.
a hard concept for a lot of IDs to get. I'm not quite sure why, unless it's just more traditional training, or they're not taught that the learning management system really is an aid to you tracking the content and then doing something with it. All too often, you see enormous courses that take forever to load, or they launch a ton of courses and they're hard to track. And then they go, it's not working right now. I wonder why. So that's something we see a lot. And we keep telling people, use the LMS, table of contents. It's real simple. And when they get it, they realize, hey, this is a lot easier, and we can track to whatever level of granularity we want the data on how well people are doing in specific courses and specific lessons, even interactions if they want. But really, table of contents, LMS.
So
Yeah,
Nicole,
absolutely. I was going to mention there that an LMS is your technology to deliver your courses and track what happens after they've been delivered, so how people are interacting with them, completion, statistics, all those kind of things. So we provide, we're techie people here. We provide that technology. We try not to have much involvement with the actual content design, although we have Jason Walensky now helping us on the blog talking about e-learning design, which is great. We have generally tried to stay out of the content area because that's not our area of expertise. Our system is, is a piece of technology that will allow you to manage your content effectively. I think part of the problem with or the animosity towards learning management systems is in the name of them. I mean, a learning management system we're not really managing your learning as such. So maybe it needs to be called something different. But I think maybe that's what gets people's back up a little bit in the industry is just that name. But yeah, as you said, Rick, our system is there to track and to deliver that training and to track what happens with it. So those are the main functions of an LMS in my mind. Especially, we've got our LMS is what we would call a light LMS, and so without the social features and a few of the other frills that some of those LMSs offer, that's the core function of our system.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's an important feature of an LMS, the social part of it, because there's so many other venues to get to the social media that the LMS really is there to launch courses, track them, give you analytics on how people are doing, and that's really what they're supposed to do. Beyond that, those are frills that are not really necessary. They could be good, but there's a lot of other ways to get the social media aspect into it without having an LMS do that kind of work. I think what's happening is too many vendors are trying to be everything to everyone, and as a result, they're being mediocre in every way, and that's an issue. So it's better to focus, do one job right rather than 5 jobs badly. Just my opinion. Just my opinion.
Question I'm sorry, Rick. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
We have a question in the chat room from Leva. She's asking you to elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by light. What functions are not available through your LMS that may be typical in some more burdensome LMSs?
Well, I guess by a light system, I'll probably tell you what we do have available, and that will kind of highlight what I'm talking about. So we've built a very light system in the sense that it's available online. It's web based. It allows you to upload users into the system. You can build your courses in there, but we don't provide much in the way of tools within the system. So we don't have the authoring tools provided in there. So that would be one thing that some LMSs provide is their proprietary tools. So we provide the technology to upload all of your own content. We assume or hope or encourage you to use authoring tools that are out there on the market if you are looking to create more interactive courses. So we'll recommend people go to Articulate or Captivate or whoever else it is out there that fits their needs. So on top of that, we allow that delivery of courses. You can attach additional documents, but we don't have chat rooms, say, associated with each course. So there's a little bit less of that interactivity.
How about forums or grade books?
So forums. So we haven't got forums in there. Our system is built for people to come in, do their training, and leave essentially. But they've got the record of what they've done sitting there. They've got their certificates. It's there. From the student's perspective, it's an account that they log into to complete training, receive certification. There's a messaging component so they can send messages to people on their course or to their administrator. They can have a bit of a profile within their account. But from the student's perspective, that's all that's in there at the moment. Although we are coming out with a course catalogue so that students will actually be able to choose their own courses. So there's kind of exactly like Weissblatt has just said, more like GeoLearning, less like Blackboard. That's exactly it. So there's a new kind of generation of LMSs that are coming out, like GeoLearning and Litmus, and there's more out there. They're harder to find. They're smaller companies and they are newer to the scene, but they look different. Their interface is something that you'd be more familiar with if you're used to using Twitter and Facebook. They have that newer looking interface. They have less features to, so you're not running an all-encompassing training program as such. You would be looking at getting started, getting out there. You want something that delivers your training effectively, and tracks everything that happens, records it all, so that you can go back and see where what people have done, in the last year or 2 years or however long. We also have compliance features built in so that you can roll out training on an annual basis if it's something that needs to be updated. But to go through and name all the features that aren't there is a tricky one, because those big players have so many plugins you can buy. You can, as you said, Rick, they're expensive. They're heavy and they're expensive. You put them in place, and then you're buying all the plugins and all the additional parts to.
And then how often do you use those?
And how often do you use it exactly? So with Litmus, we'll take suggestions, we take feedback. There's nothing at the moment. Our product is the same for everybody. If we build a new feature, we'll roll it out to everyone. There's no special, access to apart from, say, using our API. There's no functionality that's hidden from anybody. So that's another difference to some of those big players out there.
Well, I'm going to ask you to put your Isaac Asimov hat on and think to the future. We're in the Web 2.0 stage now, where we're trying to creep into Web 3.0, where we just get into from semantic to intuitive media. What does LMS 3.0 look like, or what would you like it to look like once some of the technology starts to settle into that Web 3.0 era?
Well, I think I would like to see, this always gets a good reaction, I would like to see LMSs become pretty much invisible. So, there's less of that system that you're logging into, and more of an integrated, smooth transition into doing a course and coming and sort of coming out of it again. I think where LMS 3.0 is going is mobile. There's no doubt in my mind that the desktop is not going to be around for this purpose in a few years' time. It'll all be done on tablets or mobile. So that's where we're heading as well. We're actually looking for, we're hiring at the moment for mobile developers. So if you're interested, definitely drop me an email or just send one to support@litmus.com. We're looking to bring on some more developers to get our mobile product going. And we've had a product, a mobile interface out there for almost a year now, but that's definitely where it's going. It makes sense. I mean, people will. Training is, if it's compliance training, you have to do it. It's not something you're probably very excited about doing. If you can listen to the audio or the video on the go on your way into work, rather than when you're actually there or in your own time, then that's going to be that's going to be the preferred method of training. So I think mobile for sure, and just more invisible. There's a lot of people at the moment coming out of big contracts with some of those LMSs. We've talked about the big guys like Blackboard. They're finally coming out of long-term contracts, and they're looking for something lighter. They now know what they want in terms of features. They know what they didn't use in the 5 or 10 year contract they've had with their vendor. So there's a new kind of type of person out there. We're meeting them every day. They're turning up on the website and saying, "Wow, this is so different to what I'm used to." It's got a lot less. It's a lot less configurable than they're used to, but they like that. So, it'll just be that much better if it's actually integrated into an organization's way of life, and less of a separate product.
Terrence, what's going on in the chat room?
Well, a lot of we got a few kudos for you on saying transparent. It sounds like that is what people are looking for as well. And a statement here about that big LMS vendors seem to be integrating a lot of talent management into their LMSs. Are you starting to feel pressure from